My name is Marco Malagodi. I am a professor from University of Pavia and I'm a chemist. I work in the field of cultural heritage and I analyze and I study materials from artworks. We are here now in the Arvedi Laboratory for non-invasive diagnostics, and we are, our laboratory is located in the Museum of Violin in Cremona, where is held one of the most important collection of bowed stringed instrument. The aim of this laboratory is to analyze and to study material use in making of mainly violins, but even we analyze and we study other classes of musical instrument. Violin is important here in Cremona, and what we did here is to set an analytical protocol to analyze varnishes and treatment or pre-treatments of the wood in violins. This protocol is it starts with a set, photographic set in visible light and UV light, fluorescence, just to get information about the distribution of the varnishes and other organic material on violin. And we can get other analysis, for instance, radiography, RX radiography of the violin or stereomicroscopy, just to have magnification of the surfaces. And we use here two spectroscopic techniques. One is the FTIR technique in reflection mode, alpha, and the other one is XRF technique by ELIO instrument. The instrument ELIO is very important for us, even if we work on artworks like violins that are mainly made by organic material. It's very important because we need to understand which kind of inorganic particles or pigments were used during the construction procedures of the ancient violin makers. It's important for us just to understand if they used, for instance, inorganic pigments like earth, or if they could use inorganic material like sulfates or like silicates, just to use as a filler of the wood or to make a ground, as is, this is normal procedure in polychromatic artworks. And at the same, is important to understand if it was used here in the violin by the violin makers. So ELIO is one of the steps that the violin needs to have, and the analytical results are all included in our database, and so we can compare all the results obtained on more than 19 ancient musical instruments. One of the most important violin that we analyzed is the Hellier violin made by Antonio Stradivari, and it's very important. It is one of the most important violin in the world because it is totally decorated by inlays. And what we tried to do using ELIO instrument was to characterize the elements that were present both in varnishes of the top plate and the back plate, and even in all the inlays and purfling present in the violin. The analysis of the varnishes were performed both in the area where the varnishes are well preserved, and even in the area where the varnish was worn out because of the playing of the instrument, so because of the contact of the player. It's important just to separate the results that we can obtain by ELIO and to try to confer the elements just to the wood, or to the varnish of the layers. By stereomicroscopy, it was important to analyze and to study the morphology of the inlays and purflings, just to compare those results with all the other results that we got and that we have in our database. Even during the study of the inlays of the ribs of the instrument, it was important to discriminate the layer of varnishes and the materials that were used to fill the inlays. And as is possible to see here, we have an overlay of the natural original varnish and the purfling and inlays. With ELIO, we obtain great results on the area of the top plate and back plate with the original varnish layer. And what we obtain, as is possible to see here in this spectrum, was a high count of iron. So that led us to hypothesize the presence of red earth used to dye the varnish. And on the same time, we analyzed on the varnish, we obtained high counts of calcium and potassium, as always during our analysis in the Antonio Stradivari violins. And what is important to identify even the presence of the lead that was used as a secant of the process of solidification and reticulation of the oil varnishes. The analysis performed on the purflings showed high counts of iron, copper and zinc. This is a very important result because led us to hypothesize the technique of dyeing the wood black by iron gall ink, the same ink that Antonio Stradivari used to write. So it was it's like a marker that we generally find on the purfling of Antonio Stradivari. Even during the analysis of the filler of the inlays, it was very important to find the same elements that we got from purfling. So, this case, this violin was important to analyze by ELIO because we got important results on the pigments used for the dye the varnish, as for instance iron, and even regarding other materials probably used to treat the wood before varnish, like calcium and potassium, and even the presence of lead as a secant for the oil varnishes. At the same time, was important even because we got results regarding the inlays and purfling with high counts of iron, copper, and zinc. That led us to hypothesize the presence of iron gall ink used by Antonio Stradivari to dye this part of the instrument.